What's up, my friend? Welcome back to another video, and today let's take a look at the brand new release from Orchestral Tools called Berlin Free Orchestra. And just as the name suggests, Orchestral Tools have gone through their Berlin series and selected a number of instruments to include in this library. I think it's only a couple of gigabytes large, so essentially you can test drive the Berlin series and see if you like the sound, the overall feel of the instruments, and then if you do like it, this product will naturally encourage you to take a look at their full Berlin series or maybe just the a la carte patches so you can pick and choose what you like and what you don't. But it's always cool to see developers being more generous with their products. So essentially you can test drive the entire product line and see if it fits your bill. So with that being said, I think Orchestral Tools have already put out a walkthrough of the orchestra on their channel, so I won't do an exhaustive walkthrough of the actual library, but we will do some writing and orchestration with this library right now. So let's kind of get into it first. And by the way, if you're curious about the libraries I use all the time, like my personal recommendations I use on a daily basis for my mockups, I've included my sample library buyer's guide down below in the description if you want to check that out. 100% free, literally going through everything that I personally recommend to my students. So if you want to have that on hand, you can grab it. Again, totally free as a gift for checking out this video today. So let's kind of get into it. When we first opened the orchestra, and by the way, this is through the signed player, so just like something like Museo, for example, it acts as both a sample player and a store. So you can essentially buy a license, download the instruments you want. In this case, I've downloaded the entire library, and then you can take a look at the patches. So in this case, we have the strings, woodwinds, brass, and percussion. And if you take a look here, they basically cover all the bases. You have ensemble patches, and then you have a couple of solos as well. And it's cool because the solo patches actually have legato included, which is nice. Maybe you want to use those as a layering technique for your ensembles. That's nice to have as well. But do note that there is no legato for the ensembles here, right? So we have string ensembles and then violins all the way down to basses. And then if we take a look at the harp, you get some sustains there as well. So sort of the bare bones articulations, right? The absolute essentials: sustains, spiccato or shorts, and then pizzicato and tremolo, which is a cool thing to have. And then woodwinds, you have woodwind ensemble, again, sustains and staccato. And I believe, yeah, the flute is the only one that has legato here. And it looks like the clarinet does as well, never mind. English horn, that's a cool addition. Bass clarinet, bassoon, and contrabassoon, no legato there. Brass ensemble, sustains only. Let's check these other brass. So it looks like there's no legato there for the brass, just for the winds and the strings so far. And then for the percussion, we have drums, all the way down to xylophone, some of the core percussion you would expect in a symphony orchestra. One thing that's sorely missing for me, though, is a piano. I think it would be really cool to have just a very simple sketching piano, even if it's just one dynamic layer, So in this case, to do my sketch, I'm going to use my tried and true Cine piano from Cinesamples. So let's do a quick piano sketch. I'm thinking we can do something in the style of, let's say, Super Mario. Let's say we completed a level. I'm not going to copy the exact da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, but we'll do something a little similar. So let's just record something and see how that sounds. There we go. So there's a little bit of lag there. I'm actually going to close my session just a little bit so we can see it a little clearer. So let's have one more listen to that. Right. So my idea is I want to have a few longer notes here, and then some short notes with the triplets, and then a really long note at the very end, so we can play around with both the sustains and the spiccato articulations here in the Berlin Free Orchestra. So I kind of want to set the foundation with my strings first. I'm kind of hearing a nice solid bass, so let's load up a spiccato patch here and have a listen to what this sounds like first. So you get that really biting character, a very bright sound from the Berlin series here. Let's try this out. So I'm going to call this track String Ensemble, and I'm going to call it spiccatos here. So notice here we do not have marcatos, which I would have used for some of these longer ones, bum 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 bum. I would have loved just a slightly longer short, but again, the spiccato will have to do there. So let's just go with the spiccato here and have a listen to see what that sounds like. I'm going to mute the piano actually now that I have the idea in my head. Cool. All right, let's have a listen. So I'm just missing one triplet here. So let me copy and paste maybe this second one here. Paste it right there, and then maybe drag it back just a touch. Maybe I can reduce the velocity slightly as well, because I don't want the third note of this triplet to be super heavy. I want the downbeat to fall on the next bar, so. There we go. And I'll also take this and maybe just move it a touch earlier. I don't want it to slow down too early. Maybe slightly earlier. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. And then let's double check the voicing here in the right hand. Yeah, this should still be a C sharp there. Okay, cool. So the string layer is now my foundation. And normally if I was to do a more complex piece, I would actually go through and use the individual patches. Like I would voice just the violins by itself, then just the violas, and so on. But because we're kind of going through a little quicker here, the ensemble patch is more than okay. In this case, now let's bring in the string ensemble sustain. Okay, and let's just select that articulation here. So Berlin Free Orchestra again, strings, ensemble. I'm gonna remove this spiccato patch and instead load up the sustains. So the sustains, I'm gonna just play for this note right here when we're sort of building, and then we get that final hit. Actually, I might even decide to do tremolo. Yeah, because the ensemble doesn't have the tremolo articulation, but I think tremolo would be nice to crescendo to that final spiccato hit. So in fact, let's actually do that. Let's do violins, we'll do tremolo here. And let's see what that sounds like. Yeah, so here I'll do violins, tremolos. And what was my voicing here? Let's see. Right, so it's the high C sharp there, dun, 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 and then a low octave A in the left hand. So maybe for the violins, let's just do the top two voices, A and C sharp. So let's have a listen to that. Okay, let's fix that a little bit. Okay, I think this spiccato, I don't want it to be too heavy when it first lands. So let's take all those notes, let's lower the velocity a little bit, because I want it to kind of sound like dun 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 dun, and then have that big accent on the last note. So nice. And then I want to check the modulation here for the tremolos, because this does really affect the dynamic, right? So if my mod wheel is all the way at the bottom, I might not even hear it at all. So maybe I start the mod wheel slightly higher and then really accentuate the curve once we get near the end. There we go. And then I'll cut off the tremolos a little earlier, so it feels like the violins are really playing that last note and there's no bleed from the tremolos after that. There we go, that's a little better. Cool, let's duplicate this, and now we'll do the same for the violas, but we'll do the bottom two voices now for this chord. So instead of C sharp and A, we'll do the E and C sharp. E there, and then the C sharp. There we go. Let's have a listen to that. And before we do that, oh wait, hang on. Sorry. I had to actually duplicate the track first. There we go. So this I'll put back to the original voicing. So C sharp there, oops. C sharp there, and A right there. And now I'll switch out the patch. So make sure this is the right instance. There we go, Berlin Free Orchestra, strings, violas. Remove this patch first. Then we'll do tremolo there. So now let's have a listen. Nice. Cool. Let's do the same for now the cellos, and might as well do the same for the basses as well. So my idea is, because my sketch, now I've covered the top 2 voices, right? Violins taking these 2, violas taking these 2, cellos will do this top voice here, and then basses will do that lowest note right there. So I will play in the cello line myself, but let me bring in the patch first. So again, strings, cello, let's maybe drag and drop instead. So you can see that brings in this track number 2. So I actually don't want that. So I'm going to remove track number 1, make sure it's assigned to track 1 there. Okay, let's record that. Beautiful. Let me copy, paste to the bass track, and now we will replace this with the basses A4. Oh wait, basses actually don't have a tremolo articulation there, actually. Interesting. Okay, let me see if the cellos can go the octave lower. It can't. Okay, so I might need to use a different instrument actually to play that low note right there. Or I could just use sustains, actually. Maybe that could work too. Let's do that. String basses, we'll just use sustains. Let's hear what that sounds like. Yeah, that's totally fine. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll record it myself. Okay, so now we have that depth there, and I think the tremolos really build that excitement just a little bit, right? It increases the energy. Okay, let's see if we can round this out now with other sections as well. So let us create a new track. Again, we'll duplicate so we have the same sign player already loaded, and let's see, what else could really juice this up a little bit? Well, first of all, I'm hearing brass because this is a very anthemic thing. We have staccato. Let's see, we have kind of like sustains and stuff. No mercato or anything from the brass. So let's just stick with the brass ensemble for now. We'll do staccato. Have a listen to this. So in the top, you could definitely hear there's trumpets there. You can hear some horns and trombones there. And then you get sort of the tuba there at the very bottom with some trombones and stuff. So let me just try it out really quickly and see how this sounds. Yeah, so I don't really want to play super high for the trumpets because I don't really want it to overtake the strings too much. I kind of want the searing trumpets to come in the very, very end. So I'm going to sort of play in the mid-range to lows just to start things off here. Let's rename the track Brass Shorts. Here we go. Okay, not very in time there, so let's fix that. There is a little bit of delay, like maybe a split second from when I press the keys to when the sound actually speaks, and the delay is actually even larger when I'm pressing record, so hence the delay there. Let's see, so let's drag that earlier. And start that earlier as well. Let's see one more time. Okay, here, I kind of want to hear the high F, so I'm going to move this up the octave. Okay, this I think is coming in a little bit early. Move that a bit late. And then I'm missing the third triplet here. Let's put that in. These two are a little early. So right now I'm basically just lining up the brass shorts with the string shorts. Okay, and obviously my last chord here was coming in early. So let's just shift that. Better? Cool, one last listen. Okay, this third one here is a little early. Let's move that. There we go. Dun, 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 dun. I think that's fine. Okay, perfect. So now the brass are essentially laid down. Now we're going to need some sustains. So let's bring in the trumpets. Actually, let's get a little more specific here. So again, let's duplicate the track. Here I'm going to say trumpet sustain, and then open up brass trumpets A3. Again, we'll remove this one first. Sustains. Oops. Let's see. Something like that. Let's see how it sounds with the chord. Yeah, maybe I'll just do a full like first inversion triad there with the long sustains. Not bad, not bad. The trumpets do get pretty loud though, so to give the illusion that they're sort of sitting a bit further back in the mix, I could affect the mic positions, but they only give us one mix mic. So what we'll do is just lower the overall volume a little bit. Take it down a few dB. Let's double check. Nice. Let's just shorten that very slightly. So yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that will affect how the stage positioning feels to the listener. One could be just, adjusting the volume, which in this case we sort of have to do. Or if you have the option of having multiple mic positions, like a close mic, you can bring in the detail of the instrument a bit more. Tree mics and ORTFs and surrounds, those will bring in the hull a little more, right? So the more room sound you hear, naturally, the further away the instrument sort of feels. In this case, we're just sort of lowering the volume so it doesn't overpower the strings too much. So I'm happy with the trumpet sustains. Let's copy this, and we will now try French horn sustains. So let's do the same thing. Now I'm going to fill in the mid-range. Brass here. Let's do French horns A4. We'll do sustains. So trumpets I was doing all the way up there. Let's, first of all, turn down the volume. It's a little loud. And let's just maybe do it like just a classic A major root position triad in the middle. Nice. Now that fills in the mid-range very nicely. So let's see. Okay. Because the mod wheel I started at the very bottom, you barely hear it. So I'm just going to start it slightly higher and then let the volume really swell up. Right, if we solo that up, you can hear it a lot clearer. There we go. One great thing about this free orchestra is that you really get that volume, that dynamic variation, the contrast. Very soft. And you raise it up, you hear it really come in. But I think it is only one dynamic layer, to be fair. Let's see. Yeah, it sounds like one, maybe two at the very bottom of the wheel, but it really is just that one timbre that stays throughout the duration of the mod wheel, whether you push it up or down, and it's just the absolute volume that's changing. Okay, let's do trombones as well. Trombone, sustains, same idea. We'll remove this. And brass, trombones. I'm getting a little more comfortable now with this library the more I'm using it, which is how it usually works with any new library we're sort of trying for the first time. Cool. I like that the trombones aren't too brassy here. So. Cool. That sounds pretty good to me. Oops. Let's have a quick listen to just the brass by itself, actually. Okay, not bad. The chord's nice and full. Trumpets are definitely just kind of blaring in there. That's because I should probably reset the mod wheel data there, give it some real information. There we go. So now we won't have the trumpet just bum randomly there. Okay, let's round it out with the tuba. And you might expect, like, since we usually just have one tuba in a typical orchestra, that's all we really need for this. So solo tuba, sustains. Oops, let's remove that first. Track number 1. And it's not even very loud to begin with, which is great. Done. So now the chord has nice and full low end, but it also has some crisp high end from the strings and the brass there. Now, let's add in some percussion, and we might add in some woodwinds at the very end because I think I love woodwinds. Okay, so let's hear some snare drum maybe. And let's see what they got in the percussion section again here. So unpitched metals, drums, percussion. Okay, so it doesn't specifically say snare, but snare's not a metal. So let's bring in the single hits and see what we got. So that's bass drum right there. There's our snare drum. Some toms there. And then some others. Okay, let's do the snare drum. I'm gonna lower the volume again. Okay, let's just do the same pattern as what these shorts are doing here. So let's have a listen. Okay, and I'm pretty sure that there's no snare roll there, so I don't have much of a choice. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's just the single hits. I don't have any rolls for the snare drum, so can't really do a snare roll at the end as much as I would want to. Let's bring this a little earlier to match up. Not bad, not bad. Nice. Okay, snare's fine. Let us load in another percussion here. Maybe the bass drum. Let's see. Bring in the drums patch again. Okay, maybe I'll just do a single. Oh, you know what? Actually, no. Let's do timpani, actually. So take that out. Timpani. Yeah, so single hits, we see there's no rolls or anything. So let us just, let's see. Oh, here's something fun we can do. Instead of just relying on a single hit for this swell when the sustains are happening, I'll go back and forth between the low and high A. So it kind of simulates like a mini roll. And then I'll end off with a nice strong hit there. So let's call this timpani. And let's just try that out. Cool. Yeah, you're never going to be able to simulate like a perfect roll there just by pressing 2 keys, but better than nothing. Yeah. Honestly, this can probably start a little earlier. There we go. And again, let's turn it down very, very slightly. It's not overpowering the mix, but I don't really want it to be noticeable. I want it more to be felt. Cool. All right, let's see what else we got here. We honestly don't need too much. Maybe I'll just put in like cymbals and that's it. Let's see what we got. Unpitched metals. I wonder if that would be in there. Let's see. Cool. All right. So yeah, single hits again, no rolls, but I'll just use a typical cymbal crash. Yeah, this one right there is good. So let's just do that on the very last note. Again, forgive the delay there. Let's move that back. There we go. Maybe, I do like the velocity. I do like how crisp and stuff it sounds. I'll just lower the volume of it again here. Right? Okay. Percussion-wise, I'm pretty happy with that. Cymbal crash. Let's name the track properly. And finally, let's see if there's any woodwinds we might add in here. So let's take a look again. Woodwind ensemble, not really. You know what? Let's bring in a legato patch. Why not? Let's bring in the flute. I do like the breathiness and the airiness of the flute, so. This flute is actually beautiful, and the legato actually sounds pretty good as well. I tried the solo strings earlier, and it didn't really sound as good. I'll quickly show you here. Right, it feels a little static to me. The transitions aren't bad, but I think the overall performance doesn't really breathe as much as the flute does. This feels like the Flute 1 or 2 from Berlin Woodwind's main, so great choice there to include some legato. So let's put that in here. Flute, let's see. Okay, I'll just do like the ascending broken chord. Just like that, so it sounds like this. And then as like the very end of that tail kind of matches with the final staccato chord. There we go. Almost sounds like the flute's actually doing a little staccato there at the end, but it's totally not. Okay, let's see what else. Woodwinds. Maybe let's do bass clarinet just for fun. Let's use the bass clarinet maybe to layer with the very bottom stuff, like the brass and the strings and the low end. So like, let's see. Okay, let's just do that. So let's call this bass clarinet. Here we go. Cool, you can barely hear it actually, but let's maybe solo up the shorts just to see if it lines up. Yeah, so the beginning is not perfect, there's a little mess there, but actually the second half is pretty decent in terms of lining up with the actual notes and stuff. So it just adds a touch more bite, I think. It's very, 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 very subtle, but you can sort of hear it there. And then they also give you contrabassoon, which is kind of a cool thing. English horn, yeah. So yeah, interesting choice to only have legato for the flute, which I guess makes sense, you know, in terms of choosing one for your melodies. Like the flute will basically be heard a little bit easier being a higher instrument. If you have a sparse enough arrangement, then taking advantage of the legato patch can be really cool. But from the marketing perspective, you can understand this as well. Like they kind of want to give you a few legato patches so you kind of understand what their legato actually feels like. But if you want legato for all the different instruments, you would have to invest in the paid versions of these libraries, right? Or just the paid patches, I guess. So let's hear this one more time from top to bottom and see if we can get a nice performance from start to finish. Nice. So what else would I change if I had the articulations? I would have a cymbal roll, doing a nice crescendo there. I would also have the timpani having an actual roll as well. I think the simulated roll is okay, but definitely not the best. And if I had more time, like if I really wanted to flesh this out and have control over every single part, I would voice the different sections individually. So violins 1, violins 2, sorry, violas, cellos, etc. And I might even add some more woodwinds in there for more color. But I think what we have right now is a pretty like standard way you might use an ensemble library to sketch out a basic idea. And that's all it really needs to be, by the way. Like this library really is intended as a sketch library and to give you a sense of what the Berlin series can really offer. Of course, you're not going to get the full scope because they don't give you all the articulations. It's very bare bones, sustain, staccato, spiccato for the strings, but it is enough to give you a sense of what the library is like, right? And it's completely free. So you have literally no reason not to download it. And because it's so lightweight as well and easy on CPU resources, it's sort of a no-brainer. If you want that laptop orchestra, I think this is a great choice. So yeah, good stuff, OT, for sharing this. Thank you for bringing this out to the market, bringing new composers into the scene, getting them more interested in the art of production and orchestration is super, super fun. And just the art of virtual orchestration as a whole is a wonderful thing because it allows us so many possibilities, nearly infinite, right? We can experiment, we can try layering different instruments together, we can hear the ranges, right? Like what articulations can they make? How low and high can they play? What's the tessitura? Like as in the sweet spot where they speak the best? All of that stuff you can learn from just playing with sample libraries. And of course, play or listening to live orchestras and performances on YouTube, going to live concerts, those are always wonderful enhancements and additional things you can do to really learn the orchestra. But having something like this is just a wonderful stepping stone into the world of music making and especially, virtual orchestration. So thanks again, OT, for bringing this out. And if you want to check out my personal recommendations for all the libraries I use on a regular basis, sort of my workhorse libraries, plus the ones I use every so now and then to add a little bit of sparkle and, just enhance the mix, that final 10%, I'd love to give you my sample library buyer's guide. It's included down below in the description. It's absolutely free. So just like this library, you can check out like everything I use and how I use it and the prices as well I've included in there. So it really is like a buyer's guide, like a manual for your next library purchase if you're interested in what I use. So yeah, I just want to thank you for watching this video. It was a lot of fun putting this together. And if you have any questions, do let me know. Do my best to help out there. But in any case, I will see you in the next video very, very soon. Take care.